Welcome to the Indiana Infrastructure Trial Training. This training will help you prepare for and conduct an infrastructure trial in the Pearson Access Next training site. We'll begin by discussing those things that have to be done before you get started with your infrastructure trial. Then we'll talk about how you can log into Pearson Access Next training site, your technology and Pearson Access Next setup activities, how to pre-cache content, manage your sessions, and also create and print student tickets. We'll also show you how students log in, how you can manage your test sessions, mark students' tests complete, and stop a test session. Then we'll cover evaluation and some resources. Now, before you begin, you want to make sure you understand who should be involved. Your corporation and school test coordinators, corporation and school technology staff, and also your test examiners and proctors should be involved. This infrastructure trial should take about 30 to 60 minutes, and again, it is conducted in the Pearson Access Next training site. If you go to the AppSet website, there is a nice infrastructure trial guide out there for you, and those are the steps we're going to follow today. You also want to make sure you perform your technology setup activities before you get started, including reviewing your system requirements and firewall and port settings, everything else listed here. And you also want to understand why you're performing this infrastructure trial. Among other reasons, you want to make sure that TestNav is configured correctly and your devices can successfully run TestNav. The first step is to log into the Pearson Access Next training site. I'll log in as the technology coordinator so we can begin that next step. When you log in, you want to make sure the infrastructure trial is selected as your test administration. And now we'll go under Setup, select Configure TestNav, and perform the step to configure TestNav. In the Test drop-down, you want to select Create, Edit TestNav Configuration, then hit the Start button. Here, you'll enter in the details for your TestNav configuration. You'll enter in the configuration name. You'll select the organization from your drop-down. The computer name, this is the computer where you've installed the Proctor caching software. The IP address of that Proctor caching computer. The port number, which is 4480. And you want to make sure to select uses Pearson pre-caching software. You can test your connection here. If the connection doesn't work, you want to make sure to verify your IP address and port number, and also that the Proctor caching computer is up and running. Also, you want to make sure that Java is installed on the computer that you're running this configure TestNav. You also have your response file backup locations that you'll enter here, your Windows primary and secondary, your Mac primary and secondary, your tablets, and your Linux systems there. Once you have everything entered, select Create, and you'll see that your changes have been saved. There is the success message on the screen here. You can enter in a new configuration or exit the task if you're done with the configuration, and go on to the next step. I'm going to sign out as the technology coordinator so that I can log in and perform the next steps. Now, these next steps should be done by the corporation test coordinator. Again, the corporation test coordinator will need to complete these next steps here in the infrastructure trial. So here I'm logging in, and I'm going to be taken to the home page. Again, I'm verifying the infrastructure trial is selected here. And I want to select the action to perform the next step, which is to generate sample students. So I'm going to the Students tab here. I'm going to select on the task here to generate our sample students. Now, from the page here, you're going to select your organization, your group name. Now, the group name can be a handy way of keeping track of which test each set of sample students you create is assigned to take. You'll select your enrolled grade. Your test, I'm going to select the 10th grade. It doesn't matter which one you select for the infrastructure trial. I'm just going to select 10th grade, online, and number of students. I'll select 10. You can select up to 99, and then select Generate. And you'll see again the green success message up on the top. If you wanted to add additional sample students, you'd go through the process here again. Once you're done, you can go ahead and exit the task, which will take us now to our next step, which is to create a test session. And we'll do this under Testing, Sessions, and in the Sessions task drop-down, we'll go ahead and select to create edit sessions. And then hit Start. And here we'll go ahead and enter in the details for our session. You'll enter in the session name, the test assigned. Remember, we selected the 10th grade, so I'll select that test. The form group type, which should be main. Next, you'll enter in your start date, time, and location. Now, you're not going to be restricted to the day and time that you select for a given session. The session is not going to start until you actually select that Start button. Now, if you successfully configured TestNav, when you select your organization, the pre-cached computer for that organization or computer should appear in a drop-down. So here I'll go ahead and select the one I created there. And if you didn't, you can also use your custom TestNav settings here and enter in those details from this screen. So go ahead and enter that there. Next, we're going to add our students to the session. You can add by individual students, or you can add by group. I'm going to search by group, by that group I just created earlier, and I'm going to hit Create. Now I've created the session. There's my green success message up on the top there. If I wanted to, I could create another session from this screen here. Or I can exit the task, or if I wanted to verify what was in the session I just created, I can click on that session name and view those details here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and exit this task here. And let's continue with the next step, which is to pre-cache our test content. And we're going to do this in the testing tab, and we've selected sessions. So here I'm going to search for my session that I want to pre-cache. If you had more than one, you can select multiple ones here. Selected the session here. Now I'm going to the task to pre-cache my test content. Hit the Start button, and here I'll be taken to the pre-caching test content screen. There's an information icon here if I wanted to view those details, verify the students in there, the lab location, and so forth. I can do that. And I can begin to proctor cache. Now, you'll only be able to pre-cache the test content using a browser that supports the Java plugin, so be very aware of that. So once you're ready, you can hit pre-cache, and you'll see a message that appears here. If you have a indicator there to run the application, you want to select to run that application. Okay, and then you'll see the Proctor caching application open. You'll see the test being downloaded. There's the status column. You want to see that turn to green, and there you go. That status is changed to OK, meaning that test content has been cached. You've successfully pre-cached the test content. So going back to our Pearson Access Next site, I'm going to exit the task here. So we can do our next task, which is to manage sessions. So on this screen here, we want to search for our sessions. So we can click here to show all results, and then select the sessions that we want to manage. Select these two. And then from the drop down, I'm going to select to show students in sessions and control sessions. Now, before students can begin testing, their sessions have to be started. You'll see here that you can view individual sessions, and you also have the ability to select the combined view, and you'll be able to see all students within those sessions. And the reason that the students have to have their session started, well, one of the reasons is that it's a safety measure to prevent those students from launching tests until the examiner is ready to begin. So you'll see here, you can see all the students in each of the sessions you selected, and you can select to start all sessions and even stop all sessions at the same time. So let's go ahead and start the sessions, and you'll see here it turns to green after we hit start. Sessions have now been started. And you'll see here, showing green, that the sessions are now started. Again, you can click on an individual session to see more details for that specific test session. Another reason that you want to select to view the individual sessions is so that you can create and print your student tickets. So here, we'll go ahead and click on our resources. You have a grid view, list view, and other views here. So we'll go ahead and click on the grid view. And you'll see here an example of the student testing tickets here, and this is going to contain the information that the students need to log in, including their username and password and where they should go to log in. You can also print from this page as well. Okay, so going back here to the site now, all your students have been placed into the sessions. You've started the test sessions, printed out your tickets, and now you're ready for your students to log in and you can start monitoring your sessions. So let's look at next the student login. Now this is going to be the TestNav desktop login. Now for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm running both TestNav and Proctor Caching on the same machine. But corporations, you should run your Proctor Caching on a separate machine than the student testing machine when you set up your test environment. So here I'm logging in as the student from that student testing ticket. It's going to take load, and there you go. Welcome, you are about to start a test. So I can go ahead and start this test now. And here it's taking me to the first section, mathematics, telling me how many questions are in this section. Okay, so I can go ahead and click and start that section. And I'm taken to the first question of the test. Okay, here's where you're able to sign out of TestNav if you needed to. Okay, now this is where a student will log in through the browser. There's the web address listed there that they'll have to go to. Sign in using the credentials from the student testing ticket, and they're going to be able to log in, sign in, and take their test. And remember, when you're conducting this infrastructure trial, that students necessarily aren't the ones that are going to be logging in through TestNav through these tests. You can always have your colleagues log in as students from these student test tickets. Again, it would be nice to have the students to be able to do it, but again, with the infrastructure trial, you're testing a whole bunch of things. As long as someone can log in as a student, as you see here, then you can be able to conduct this infrastructure trial. So here I'm going to sign out of TestNav and show you how that looks here. And now we can go back to our Pearson Access Next website. So that way we can view and monitor the sessions after the students have started testing. So once the students have started testing, you're going to be able to see their student testing status here. So we're going to go back here to the training site and view our sessions. Again, we're selecting the sessions that we want to view here. I'm going to go ahead and select here to view the combined view. Alright, and here we see our students now are in an exited status. A couple of 2 or 3 students here are in the exited status, and we have other students who are in a ready status. Again, we are looking at the students here, and in that column here you have a student test and item progress that you can view here, and you'll be able to see the students' progress there. You won't be able to see their answers, but you will be able to see their progress, what they visited, answered. And you can refresh this page to see real-time update, and you can go ahead and exit here. So now on this screen you're also going to be able to perform some other functions, including resuming students. So if you have a student who is in an exited status, you'll be able to resume them from this page here. And if you see here that the student test status, you can click down here and select to resume here. That's one way to resume a student, or you can select multiple students, and if you scroll to the top under the task, you can select the task to resume those students there, and then hit start. And you'll be able to see those students that you selected here, so you'll make that selection. And there you go, your success is showing there, the message on the screen. And you can see now their student test status is resumed. So we go back to our page here. Again, I'm going to select the combined view. And we can see again on the student test status column that the students are now in a resumed status. Okay. So now we're going to see how to mark a student's test complete. Again, you want to make your selection by clicking on that checkbox there, going up to your task. To mark the student's test complete, you're going to select that drop down there and hit Start. And you're going to enter in a reason to mark the student's test complete. Now, for our demonstration purposes and for the infrastructure trial purposes, you'll just enter in at least a letter in there. I'll just put in the letter A. And we'll go ahead and here mark the test complete, and we have the green success message on the top. And we can go ahead and exit this task. So that's how you will mark a student's test complete. You see the status has changed. Again, we'll come back here, select our combined view, and verify again in the test status column that student is now marked complete. Another thing you'll be able to do from this screen here, again, if you wanted to select an individual session, you can do so as well. Just select that individual session and you'll see more details specific to that test session here. For example, if you wanted to clean up the session, or if you wanted to move a student from one session to another, or just remove students entirely from a test session, you can do so from this screen here. And what you'll do is, again, make your selections in the checkboxes. And after you've made your selections, you'll go to the Tasks menu. And select to remove students. Okay, you'll see the list of students here. You can select them all and remove them. And then you can go ahead and exit that task. You'll see your green success message appear on the screen. Okay. Now we can see that we have 2 students in a resume status and 1 in a marked complete status. As you view your students in these sessions, note that you do have a refresh button on the screen here, so you can click on refresh and have a real-time update of the student status. So here we can click on refresh, and you'll see that one of the students is now in a completed status here. So again, you want to click on that refresh button so you can see a real-time update of a student's testing status. So we do have one student who is in a resume status. I'm just going to go ahead and mark that student's test complete, so that way we can show you the next step here. So again, walking through the steps of marking the student's test complete, make your selection, click on the task. The reason, again, for the infrastructure trial purposes, just enter in a letter. Success. We can exit the task. And now we can see that all of our students are shown in a completed or a marked complete status. So they have to be in a completed or marked complete status in order for you to be able to stop a test session. Okay. So again, looking at the other session, we'll see that these students are still in a ready status. Again, in the combined view, you won't be able to stop the test session, so you want to go to an individual session since the other students in that other session have not completed their testing. These students are completed or marked complete. I can stop the test session, and the session is now stopped. And you've basically completed your infrastructure trial. Again, you're going through and you're creating all the test sessions, creating your sample students, generating your sample students, adding your students to the into the sessions that you've created, going through all these steps here, so that way you can ensure that you've conducted a trial that represents the number of students who will actually be testing. So again, you want to verify that all your students are in a completed or a marked complete status before you're able to stop their test sessions. Okay, so again, once you've stopped all your sessions, you've completed your infrastructure trial. So then you can begin with your evaluation. And in your evaluation, you want to take note of any issues you may have experienced, whether they were technical or logistical issues, and you want to make sure that they are addressed before the statewide readiness test on January 20th, 2016. And finally, we do have some resources out there for you. A troubleshooting guide for testing. There are some training modules, some how-to videos for Pearson Access Next. And we also have our customer support information listed here. If you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call or send an email. Thank you for viewing this presentation.